Stanley, people are going to trickle in. Is that okay with you? Okay, all right. We're going to try and be done by 10:30 because the band needs to come in to practice. So, yeah, the band's on the field. I wanted to have Mr. Eric Schott come talk to you about how this all came about. He's going to share briefly, like, what the connection is. I'm going to give you my mic real quick. Yeah. And then Stanley will share his part two.
Oh, yeah. My wife always tells me I need to use my coaching voice. I usually don't use one of these. So let me do this quickly. I feel like the opening act at a concert. Nobody pays to see this guy, right? You want to see the guy that's after me. So the Lord works in mysterious ways, I've been told. I show a video in my world literature class that we use as a writing assignment, and I've shown it for the last 20 years. I teach it. I teach at Shaler area. I do journalism. I do our newspaper. I'm in charge of some other stuff too. One of our projects is not related to this, but I show this video every year. And 3 or 4 years ago, we got invited to the Flight 93 Memorial, and my students kind of bought into it, and they were like, then became sort of 9/11, not cognizant, but they became more interested. And some of my students had seen the video in my class and have said, hey, could we do some stories or request some information about other people involved in 9/11, not at Shanksville? I said, sure. So they all picked somebody. Well, a lot of them picked news reporters or other people that they saw in this 9/11 video that National Geographic had produced. They all had sent out information, whether it be email, they tried to get in touch with a lot of people. The majority of them got no response. So they said, hey, why don't you do it too? And so I was like, okay. So I looked at the video, and then I start researching some of the people. Some of the firefighters in there, or civilians, all these people that were interviewed. I looked some of them up. Some of them are charging $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for speaking appearances or engagements. I can't get $300 to print my newspaper, so I didn't think that was going to work. Stanley's story is in there, and it's one of my favorite stories in the video. And so I find that he's a pastor in Queens. Oh, I can write a letter. So I wrote a letter this is right before the election in September, 2 years ago. It's a half day of school. I'm sitting at my desk trying to get some work done in the afternoon. My phone rings on my desk. I look at it, unknown number, New York City. I can't listen to another election call. Decline, and I go back to work. 3 minutes later, voicemail message. I didn't really want to. I ignored it for a half hour, and then eventually I went to go get a drink. I'm like, all right, well, what is this? And I hear his voice. It's the voice I've heard for 20 years on this video. I felt like I've known him, and I told him in the letter that I wrote, I'm like, I feel like I've known you for 20 years. And there's this voice. Hey, this is Stanley Pramnath. I got your letter, and I'd love to talk to you. Oh my God, I can't believe I hung up on the guy. A lot of coordination, and then this time last year, actually a week later, it was in early May, he said, I assumed we were going to do a video call, and in Stanley's dad voice, he said, no, let me tell you how this is going to work. I said, oh, okay. I'll come to your school, but what I would like you to do is find me a local church that I can come and share my message with. Okay, can do. I'm a member at St. Paul's United Methodist Church over in Allison Park. I talked to Amy Wagner. She's, yes, let's do this. This will be great. Everything is set up. Stanley drives in from New York Saturday. Sunday's perfect. We go out to dinner. We are at the Grand Concourse, and my son calls. Hey, I don't know if you know, but I think your school just called and said you don't have school tomorrow. This was odd. The week before that, we had some of those horrible one-day tornadoes, storms, F-14, whatever all these weird terms are now. And we had school delays or cancellations. Before we went to dinner, there was a message posted on our website from our superintendent. All our buildings are good. We're going to be ready to go. Awesome. I get home from dinner, and my son was right. They had related power issues. They couldn't power the buildings, and they were going to cancel school, and we had to do an online day. I was stunned. We had just sat at dinner talking about how great the day was going to be. I had all these things lined up at the stool and people coming, and now I have to call him and say, don't know how to say this, but school's canceled tomorrow. I'm getting inundated with messages from school. My principal's like, oh, is there something we can do? My kids' emails, well, what are we going to do? When's he coming back? I'm like, So, like I said, God works in mysterious ways, because I didn't think this was ever going to happen again. It was like, I saw him Monday. I said goodbye. I was like, I don't know what to do. He's there. Can we do it in the parking lot? Can we do it? We all this room at the hotel. I'm like, this isn't going to work. Sitting there, and his wife Jenny looks at him and says, well, I guess you'll just have to come back. I looked at Stan. He didn't seem to be super excited with that suggestion, but I was like, oh, okay. I've not told him this, but for the next 6 months, I'm like, there's no way I can impose on him to do this again. And he kept saying, hey, if you want to do something, let's do it. Let's do it. So finally I said, well, he keeps offering, so we bought into it. And then he said, well, you know your drill. Find me a church. My wife works at the conference center with Keith's wife, Alice, and so we had an easy connection to make here. And so that's the very long story of how this all came to be today. And I'm not going to, I feel like weird cursing it if I say this out loud, but unless there's some strange weather event today, Stanley will be at Shaler tomorrow talking to my students. So anyway, like I said, the opening act is sitting down because the main event is much more exciting than this. Thank you for coming, by the way.
But that was all Eric. It was his idea. All I'm doing is being faithful, that's all. So when we finished this morning, or where we ended, was where I'm telling Brian Clark is going down. You all remember up to that part? And he says, no. What do you see burning there is all draperies and cosmetic and paper. Steel don't bend. By profession, I'm an engineer. And he stopped talking because the building starts to sway. It's going so much on one side, oh my God, it's going to tilt over, and stop. Start shaking again. Next side. And you're watching this scene like a scene from a horror movie. Now let me set the stage and you would understand what is happening. We're holding on to the fence of the church, right here. In front of it is the church. Behind it is the World Trade Center. So the Trade Center is towering above so we can see what is happening there. Got a picture? When the building imploded, the Trinity Church, that is, when the Trade Center imploded, we were hiding behind. It was like at the backside of the Trinity Church. So the church took the blunt force of everything that went poof, towards us. Every step of the way, the Lord was taking care of us. All the debris that went like this, the church took the blunt force. And Brian and I got separated from each other. Let me explain what you would not see in the history books. The ladies were taking out their high heels and they were throwing it away. And they're running, screaming, running towards the direction of the Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody wants to get away. Brian and I got separated from each other, and this man who just brought me out of this fire and brimstone, he's gone. He is my guardian angel in my heart. And God is raining fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah. All this is passing through my thoughts. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm screaming, Brian. And Brian is screaming, Stanley. And I can't see this man. What you didn't see was the not so able are getting trampled on. People are running, screaming, getting away. And every form of expression you could have heard. Some people are screaming, some are cursing, some are swearing, some are They're shouting out for God. They're getting away. And in my heart, they're bombing the financial area. Now, Jenny works at the time for a company they call SIAC, which is a subsidiary of the New York Stock Exchange. And they were hidden over the Brooklyn Bridge in an area they call Metro Tech area. Because of security reasons, I never visited her. Because you got to go through metal detectors and all that stuff. And I said, no. So I never visited. But I knew the address of the place, but I don't know the building. So I'm looking for something. Watching around, got crazy. In my heart, they're bombing the financial area. They're going for her or her building. I'm looking around for something, for somebody. I don't know what I'm looking for. And I saw a man driving a white 4x4 pickup truck. He's driving all over the place on top of the sidewalks and everything. So I ran alongside, grabbed the door handle, yanked the door open, and looked at him and says, "One word from you, you're dead, drive." That's what I said. "One word from you, you're dead, drive." I got crazy. Now, I want you to be in my shoe for 1 minute only. Look at me. The pants stood intact. My shirt was a makeshift bandage from my leg. My undershirt looks like it came from a shredder. I am black and blue and covered in soot and bloodied. You would look like the bad guy, right? Of course, the man looked at me and got scared. So he reached on top of his dashboard, picked up a white box of cigarette and says, "Here, smoke." I said, "No, man, I had enough smoke for one day." And he looked at me, and I could tell that he is kind of softening up. He says, "Where to?" I said, "Brooklyn Bridge Drive." He drove, reached the ramp of the Brooklyn Bridge, can't go over. 60,000 people worked at the Trade Center on a 16-acre facility. 40,000 people are on top of the bridge, and everybody is running, screaming, trying to get away. And as I'm running, pushing, screaming, "Get out of my way, get out of my way," I'm going crazy now. I think they're going for her building. I'm going to go save Jenny. Looked like a scene from Forrest Gump. And I'm running, screaming, and then I bump into this big guy. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's going to kill me now." The guy turns around to compassion on me. I said, "What happened?" He said, "I just got out of that building." He said, "My name is Albert de Leon. I'm a senior counsel for a French bank. Ask me for anything." I said, "Show me where 2 Metro Tech is." He said, "I live right behind that building." What is that chance? What is that chance? One man you bumped into know exactly where you got to go. One man. He said, "I was in Vietnam." I said, "Well, help me." And I sat down. "What do you mean? Come on, let's go." I said, "No, they hot-wired this bridge. Everybody's going to die." Now, I look like the bad guy. Now, I am a logical-minded person. You tell me logically something, I will believe you. If you tell me, I'm like, let me think this thing through. So the guy looks at me like, "You're crazy." So he sat down. Both of us are sitting now. And you can hear the F-16s. They're hovering over Lower Manhattan. You can't see them because of all that smoke. You see, when the building imploded, it created a vacuum. And it started dragging all that smoke that you see in the air and all the way towards the core. So it looks like a giant tsunami of smoke coming towards you. So all these people that you were seeing now, they were like just enveloped in smoke. You can't see them. So you can't see anything over either. And they're tall buildings. And he said, "Tell me, what is that sound?" I said, "That is Uncle Sam taking care of business." He said, "Well, come on, go. Get up and let's go." So we got up and we were running and we were running. And we reached the ramp of the building where Jenny works. As soon as we got in there, he starts screaming, "Where is Jennifer from the legal department?" He's screaming. Now, this is a senior counsel for a French bank, helping me out, screaming for Jenny, never saw her. So, of course, the security guard is looking at us like we're crazy men. They probably think we're the bad guys now. And all I remember was 4 of them form a circle, and they're encroaching on us. And Albert put his back against mine, and all I remember was the back down, put it that way. And in the corner of my eyes, I saw this guy running, coming towards us. And when he got there, he says, "What are you guys doing? Stan is a good guy." And he pushed him aside. And I met this guy only once in my life at a Christmas party for just a couple of minutes. That was our boss. He was a senior counsel. He was senior counsel for the New York Stock Exchange / SIAC. And the guy came and says, "What are you all doing?" And the nurse came who was in attendance. The nurse says, "Stan, you need the hospital badly." Every person who I interact with on that day would tell me the same thing. "I need the hospital badly." No, no, no. If I can only hear that Jenny is okay, her voice, and the children, the 2 girls, Stephanie and Caitlin, I will be fine, I'm telling them. And this good old Irish man, well, not old, as in OLE, start unbuttoning his shirt, took out his white shirt, and "Here, Stan, take my shirt. Give this man anything he wants, but make him well. Stan, I can't stay here with you. I have an emergency general council meeting. I gotta go." If this Bible was to be rewritten in modern days, that man would have been the Good Samaritan. And he's gone. The nurse came, took out a jacket instead, and gave me. Greg took back his shirt. And the nurse insisted that I take her bottle of water, a sandwich, and an apple, and I said no, and she starts to cry. I says, "Okay, give me the water only. Stick it in the pocket. Stan, I cannot send you home. They shut down the parkway and the train is not running. But I'll walk down with you to the train station." "Lady, if the train is not running, why are you going to take me down to the train station?" So she's looking at me. I'm looking at her. "Give me a phone." But I couldn't use this right hand. It was lacerated, was swollen, couldn't have much use out of it. So I took my left hand and playing with the numbers. I'm so crazy, I can't remember our number. I'm playing with the numbers, and here is Jenny on the line. Now, the first thing, she couldn't believe it was me. She thought somebody was pranking her, impersonating me, that I was gone. No, 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 no. The Lord took care of me. I'm coming home to you girls. See, she was at her job, and I spoke to her supervisor earlier on when we were going down the stairs at the Trade Center, asking for her, but she had already left. One of the girls took her in her car, dropped her off by the train station, and she's gone home. We always had this little agreement that if there's something wrong that is happening, make sure you grab the children, you keep them to safety until I get home. I will come home. Regardless of what day it is, I will come home. So she's waiting, hoping. So she's in tears, not believing it's me. I'm like, no, 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 the Lord took care of me. I'm coming home to you girls. Hung up the phone from her. After we're done, if you feel like you can ask her about the conversation, you and her alone, and she would tell you. She's not the person to come in front of here and explain all this. So, hung up the phone. The lady and I walked down to the train station, and here we are. We're the 8 train, the same one that I took to go to work. You would get there to go back home. Stood up. I'm standing up like this. Not a word is said between the lady and I. She's standing up. I'm standing up. I'm saying to myself, I'm wasting my time here. They shut down the subway system. How is a train going to come? I can't explain this. If you ask me, I would never be able to explain it. Call it a miracle, call it magic, call it whatever you want. All I heard was the sound of a train pulling in the platform. And the train stops right in front. And I stepped in. The door closed. I turned. I'm looking outside now. And the lady is standing up. Can't believe what she's saying. She's got her hand in her mouth like this. Like she's in shock. I would have been in shock too if I was her. And the train pulls out of the platform. And she is running alongside of the train waving me goodbye. It looked like a scene from the book, Goodbye is Not Forever, where the lady has her baby clutched in her one arm, and they're taking away the husband to the salt mines of the tundra. Book by Amy George. Pick it up one of these days. And she is running alongside the train, and she is whispering, "Goodbye is not forever." And I'm gone. As if in retrospect, the train came just for me. You think God don't have a favorite? Think again. I didn't say all that. I reached where I was going, but I was like the conductor. I am not sitting down. I'm standing up in case the bad guys come again. Every time the doors open, I'm looking back and forth. Nobody is coming out. Nobody is coming in. Got out of the train, walked down the steps. I'm on the sidewalk now. I'm going towards my car. I'm going towards the car. A man looks at me and says, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" And then he looks at me and says, "Oh, I just went to buy some food. I got some Chinese food in a styrofoam box, and I got a bottle of water and a soda here. Take it. My office is right over there." I'm like, no, I'm okay. Then I remember I saw this man once. I know who he is, but I couldn't figure his name and all these things. He had owned I think was an Allstate insurance agency, and that was his franchise right down there. And he wanted me to go. I said, no. All I want is to go home. Got to the car. When I got in the car, I realized I'm swollen. I can't buckle myself on the seatbelt. And I can't use this arm to do so. I'm taking the left arm to reach around to buckle the seatbelt. And I'm saying to myself, well, Stan, you crossed it. Today you're going to have a ticket. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to have a ticket for not wearing my seatbelt. Who thinks about a ticket on a day like that? But that's the way I'm thinking. I'm wired that way. So I tried, buckle it on. Like a robot, I drove, and I reached home. When I got home, Jenny is standing on the porch. Caitlin is in one hand. She's holding on to those precious children, and Stephanie is in the left hand. I pull up in the driveway. Carolyn and Toots and Gigi and everyone in it run, hug me, kiss me. "Oh, God, Stan, thank God you're alive, thank God you're alive. Thank God." I walk up the stairs, and I went to hug my little daughter. Caitlin was 4.5. Today she's married. Went to hug the child. The child says, "Don't hug me, you're not my daddy, you're not my daddy." And she's hiding behind Jenny. And men, when you would hear that, you would start thinking differently. "You're not my daddy." So I walked around and I hugged Stephanie. Stephanie had a sandwich, still had the butter knife in one hand. I hugged the child. The child looks at me and says, "Dad, if you didn't come home, I was going to kill myself." Stephanie is married. She's got 2 children of her own, Hannah and Ezra. And I lost it. I lost it when I heard all that. All I remember doing was to hug Jenny and those children and says, "Lord, thank you." See, that day I left with a praying in my heart. It was a time for thanksgiving. And all I said was, "Thank you, Lord." But I remember I told her, I don't remember how I was saying it because I just lost it. "Don't take me to the hospital, take me to Dr. Grant. If you send me to the hospital, they will never send me home." And all I remember, I'm lying, and the doctor is leaning over me, talking to somebody. And the somebody was his brother, who I know. His brother was still is my tax accountant, and this is the brother, who's a doctor, my primary care at the time. So he's telling his brother, this man lost it. And I could not respond in speech. I wanted to reach up, grab his neck, and pop him. It may take a day, a week, a month, a year. Eventually, he may snap out, but there's no guarantee. And then you understand when people are in coma, they can hear everything you're saying, just that they couldn't react. I lost it, memory and all. The next thing I remember, I'm sitting down watching TV, CNN. Jenny would give me a bottle of water. She would give me a sandwich. She would give me an apple. She would give me a pen. She would give me a notepad. She would give me a telephone. If you remember, just write it down. And I'm watching the news. And all that I'm seeing there is like unfolding in my head like a nightmare. That's all I can remember. This is a nightmare. And I can hear the newscaster is saying 911 is an emergency number. September is spelled with 9 letters, and she's going on. And Afghanistan is spelled with how many letters? And she's going on and on. And I can hear in my head, Pastor Jim is preaching, her dad. He's preaching, and this is what he's saying. All the answers to life is in the Bible. All the answers to life is in the Bible. That's all I can hear in my head. And the newscaster is saying 911 is an emergency number. Jen, give me my Bible. I had an old King James Version. I still have that Bible. But the pages are all falling apart. It had a zipper. Give me my Bible. So she stood up and she's stretching her hand like this. And I'm like, why is she stretching like this? And who are these strange people? They don't have a place to go home. These children don't have a parent. I don't want to go in to sleep in my bed with this strange woman. All that is passing through my head. I lost it. So she gave me the Bible, and I opened the Bible. And I'm flipping through the pages looking for 911, the emergency number. And all the answers to life is in the Bible. So I'm flipping through the pages. And the page flew out. Because remember, the Bible was like kind of loose. And I'm looking at Psalm 91, verse 1. That's 911. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the King James Version, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Oh my God, this is good stuff. I'm saying to myself, I'm reading on. And he shall give his angels charges over thee, and all that good stuff. I'm reading on. And he shall call, and I will hear, and I will answer, and I will be with him in time of trouble as go down. And with long life shall I satisfy him and show him my salvation. And I snapped out. I can recognize people and faces and places and everything. I'm delivered. All that is happening within this frame of time. And I'm able to see everybody, remember everything. Everybody wants an interview. Every radio, newspaper, television. Every major television around the world interviewed. Every major magazine, newspaper, interviewed. Everybody. Every church wants me to go. I am not that person. I'm a churchgoer. Stan, would you like to share? Nope. Stan, would you like to preach? Nope. Can you share something? Nope. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into the spotlight and you're supposed to emerge as a speaker, as a no. That's not who I am. But I found myself doing that. The health coverage that I had given me 10 sessions of counseling. So I went counseling the first day. A Jewish lady, she says, you can sit down, you can stand up, you can lie down, make yourself comfortable. Tell me what happened. So I decided to tell her the story that I told this morning and now. So by the time I was done, she was in tears. She is crying her heart out, poor lady. I'm saying to myself, that's a quack. You're supposed to be the strong one here. I'm supposed to be the one crying. And what happened was, I started telling her about the saving grace of God. And she surrendered her life to the Lord. And from that day onwards, I knew exactly what I was called to do. Tell the good news. Everybody likes to hear a story, Pastor. Everybody likes to hear a good story. But you just tell them about God's deliverance. You tell them about grace. You tell them about love. They would accept Christ. So I never stopped. So for the past 25 years, September is going to be 25, I've been traveling all over the place, from South Africa right down here, Canada, all over the place. We go telling about God and grace. But I thought the devil was done with me. 93, I made it. 9/11, I made it. And then the COVID came. I'm like, all right. First phase of the COVID, I didn't feel good. And the next thing I know, I got sick. And the doctor says, no, you're not going to come in. So we're doing the Zoom thing. And the next thing I know, I'm not well. Got up after 1 month, couldn't walk, lost 25 pounds. And I told Jenny, I said, you were supposed to do something. And she says, what? I said, you were supposed to make a call, and you didn't make the call. She says, who I was supposed to call? You were supposed to call up the magazine GQ, Gentleman Quarterly, and tell them that I'm going to model their clothes. And so I lost the 25 pounds. I'm going back and forth to the doctor. I'm going to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you got scar tissues in the lung. And then told me I got pneumonia in both lungs. So they're giving me antibiotics and all that good stuff. And I'm getting better, I'm getting better, I'm getting better. And the next thing you know, in one of the other visits, the doctor said, I got some news. And I know what I tell you here, you're going to take it in good spirit. I said, okay. Dr. Donnelly walks in, and he says, I know you. My wife is a pastor. I never saw this doctor before. And the doctor said, you got leukemia. Oh, God. How many times do you kill one man? That was my question. How many times do you kill one man? So, 6 months after that, I came down with skin cancer. Cut me under here, took a little ice cream scoop scoop it out, stick me from inside out, send me back home. As of date, no transfusion, no radiation, no chemotherapy. What are you doing that we are not doing, Stan? I told it to my friend. That was my response. But anyway, all that is done, I'm like, okay, I think the devil gonna move on to some other people now. Give me a break. Came back, 24 comes. We were doing ministry in South Africa. Came back February, towards September, October. I told her, I said, let's go to Europe. So we found ourselves in Amsterdam and in Brussels and in Paris and London. And then she says, why don't you go get a complete physical? But we're doing backpacking, I'm doing fine. No tingling of the arm, no chest pains, no nauseating feeling, no nothing. I'm okay. Come on. It's coming to the close of the year. Next year, you're due for another complete physical. I went for the physical. After a battery of tests, the doctor says, I think you need to go into surgery. Bottom line is the 4 main arteries were 70, 80, 90, and 100% clogged. And in a few days afterwards, I found myself under the 6.5 hours operation doing a quadruple bypass surgery. Well, that's the 23rd of October of 2024. The 27th came 3-4 days afterwards. Got up in the morning, still groggy, got a tube in my mouth. I can hear rustling, open up one eye, peeking like this. So people, all the nurses and doctors and things around here, they all came and they're singing happy birthday. A big cheesecake, all lit and everything. And the nurse says, you're going to cut that cake and you're going to take a big mouthful. I said, lady, you lost it. Just had a heart surgery, you're going to give me cheesecake? She says, there's nothing wrong with your stomach. Pull out the hose, cut the cake, eat. It tastes good. She says, you're going to have your breakfast and we're going to go for a walk. So I'm like, no, no, something is not right with this picture here. So she came, put me to a sitting position, lower me down, step, she says, you okay? Yeah, let's walk. Walk the entire length of the corridor, to the hallway, reach a flight of stairs. She says, can you climb up? Yep, climb up. She says, can you come down? Yep, did. Sign me off. You don't need physical therapy. Every person who worked with me was a born-again believer. They would come at nights and they would pray for me. Didn't ask for it, but what I asked God for grace. You see, but when I was asking, I have 3 other friends. And they were listening to the conversation, they were eavesdropping. There was mercy, there was grace, and there was love hiding behind the door. And they heard the conversation. So when the doctors were doing what they did, mercy jumped in. And grace says, I want to go too. But love was too bashful. Love says, nah. And after everything was done, the Lord says, come, why are you hiding? Grab love and sprinkle it, boom. So love went home with me. So she was my caregiver. She was my all. She took a month off. And yours truly is still here, all because of the grace of God. Back to normal, as if nothing happened. If you call on God with all your heart and soul and mind and body, He's going to hear. If you ask with a contrite heart, He's going to give. If you knock, He's going to open. Fair enough? And you have heard that over and over and over. And why did God didn't answer your prayer? If I regard iniquity in my heart, God would not answer my prayer. Isn't that what the Bible said? If I regard iniquity in my heart, God would not answer my prayer. So I asked, the Lord gave. I begged, He was merciful. I cried, He heard. He wiped the tears, and He comforted me. And wrap it all up in one single word, grace. Well, my friends, this is where you ask me if something is bothering you, or you tell me if you want to hear something that you were expecting and I didn't answer, or if you have a question that you want to ask me that you would like me to answer, this is your time. Amen? Go ahead. Stick your hand up, sit down, stand up, ask me that question. Go ahead.
The fellow that helped you, was it Brian that helped you? Did you ever meet with him or make any contact with him?
Brian Clark is acting a role as a big brother towards me. I'm the guilty one, like the little brother who doesn't answer or call him on time. Brian is the kind of guy who knows the birthday and the anniversary and the children's birthday and oh, this is Uncle Brian. Brian and I are like buddies. Stan, Diane is a great cook. Why don't you come? I'm going to drop Jenny to work and Diane is going to cook for you. Things like that. Brian is a great guy. Great guy. Like I said, he acted the role as a big brother towards me. His daughter got married. Kristen got married. Jenny and I sat on the same table with he and his wife. His own children sat by themselves. And Brian stood up and introduced us. This is my blood brother. I want you to understand or picture this scene where this handsome brown fellow is sitting down here and a group of Irish folks are sitting down there and Brian says, that's my blood brother. And everybody's like, uh-huh. What's wrong with this picture? But that's Brian. Great guy. He's the guy who would open up the door for me, go and make sure I hook up the seatbelt, walk around, then he drives. We're going out to dinner. That's Brian. He found a brother that he always wanted. And he knew in his heart that I was that brother that he always wanted, and God gave him that brother on 9/11. What a guy. What a God. What an event. Who else? Every reporter asks me every perceivable question, but none never asked Jenny, well, what was passing through your mind when you were waiting, hoping to hear from Stanley? I'm going to put her on the spot. Why don't you ask her, one of you ladies, ask her one of those questions that is bothering you now. And hopefully, she would answer you. Hopefully. How about that? You hear what she said? That's not nice. And I know she's going to kill me when we go back in the car, but I know you're decent folks, and you're going to pray for me so that I would make it through the trip. This is your chance. Yeah. They all remembered everything that happened, but we never talked about it because Daddy lived. We serve a God who is big and powerful and mighty and who can do all things, made my dad live. So they would go to school, just like Eric there, the children, they're looking at all these videos, and they're looking at the video that Stanley, escaped, and he's telling the story, and they would not even say, that's my dad. And then, wait a second, you have the same last name like that guy. That's my dad. Like that. So they don't talk about it. Nobody says anything. They take it for granted everything is fine. We never sit down to look at any one of those interviews. And we were interviewed from everywhere, from Brazil in the south there, all the way to India and all the way over Europe and all over the place. Interviews. Never watched it. I remember I was in a plane coming down from Fort Worth, Dallas to go home, and it was on a 9/11 day. And the in-house, their TV on flight, they interrupted to show a 9/11 survivor. And then the pilot says, if you look at seat number 21B or whatever it is, on your left there's a gentleman, remember to say hi to him. And that's the guy on the nose, Stanley. Something like that. And that's the first time I watched and saw one of the interviews. And when I got out of the airport, the lady says, hey, take a apple juice. You're the guy, sign my Bible. What do you mean? I didn't order. No, take it, you need it. I just saw you in the news. Oh, thank you. Take the apple juice and got away again. So that's what happens behind the scene. And this is your last shot if there's any other question. If not, the people are going to come and push us out because they got to start preparing for the next service. Go ahead.
Any other people in your office that were there at the same time as you survived?
Every person who was in the office at that time, everybody passed on. Everybody is on the elevator who went up with me, they all were gone. And I would never understand why some people live and why some people die. I don't understand the process which God uses to determine who should live and who should die. Don't know the answer. But to answer that question, every person who was in the office at the time, they were all gone. Yours truly is the only one from the entire floor / the 4 floors that we had lived.
When you were going down the steps, was anybody like rescue people coming back up or?
When we were going down the stairs, we were met with one man, Jose. And Brian knew that man because he had worked with him. And Jose had a walkie-talkie. And he was going to rescue some people. And Brian introduced him to me briefly. And Jose never made it back out. See, what you didn't see on TV and you would never hear was after the 93 bombing, the nails shut the door that leads to the roof. Because in 93, they wanted to airlift us off. But because it was a windy, snowy day, they decided no, the wind was going to knock the people off. So the nails shut the door and never told anybody, and I fire warden on my floor. We were never told. So chances are these people who went back up didn't have time to come back down and the building collapsed and they were gone.
You had shared about the prayer that you would pray every morning as you were getting ready, and I was just wondering if your wife had a prayer that maybe she was thinking herself as she was rushing to get her daughters and not sure if you were going to make it home.
Did you have a prayer in your heart that morning before to pick up the children, before you go to work? Is there a special prayer you carry in your heart?
Not that particular morning. I'm always so busy with the girls trying to get them out of the My prayer was to make them get to school on time. Yeah.
Did you go back to work at the
Yes, I went back to work the first Tuesday of, the first Monday of October of that same year. September 11, October 1st, Monday, I went back to work. It was not because I wanted to go, because the doctors wanted me to go. They said, if you stay home, you'll be in a shell. You would never go back. You would never be able to. So when I went back to work, I had to go back to work with a map because I couldn't remember many things. And when I went to work, all the people that I'm seeing, I figure if I smile with them, they wouldn't ask me anything. So I would sit down and smile with them, not knowing who these people were. But I had some good officers working for me, and they would come and say, Stan, son, can you sign? I don't have a clue what I'm signing. Sign. Thank you. And they're gone, they're gone, they're gone. Then gradually I started remembering their faces, remember their names, and everything else. But 2023 came, 23, and I retired from my secular job. One, because they were driving me crazy, and two, it was wearing me thin, and the stress level was way over the ceiling. Couldn't handle it. And then I wasn't well, and all that put together, I decided that, you know what, I think I had enough of one lifetime when I retired.
Where did you go back to work?
Went back to work.
Not in that building.
Okay, so we always had contingency office, always. After the 93 bombing, there was a federal mandate that every company with over 350 employees must have a contingency site. So we had more than one in Jersey City, one in Bergen, New Jersey, and we had branches all over the world, basically. So we went over to Jersey City and was working from one of those offices, and then they put up a building of their own. So I went back to work. And I stayed with Fuji Bank, which went through with the merger. They became Mitsuho Bank. And after that, I left them. I decided that, you know what, I think it was too much memories of all these people who died and who didn't die. I wanted a clean break. I wanted to start from scratch. I left them. I went to the Royal Bank of Scotland. And I stayed with them for about 8 years. And then I got transferred to go to Salt Lake City, Utah. Says I'm not going to go. And long story short, I stayed home. And Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corp, I got a job with them. And I stayed there until I retired. But Japanese bank seems to like me. I like them. We were all happy.
All right, well, we have to wrap this up, because the band's coming in. And
All right, just put the ribbon up there and we're all happy.
if you have other questions, feel free to ask him. Can we, because the band's
Sure.
So we'll leave, and other people, if you want to ask a question, catch him.
Absolutely. Yes.